Well, it's a time of year for tradition, and as traditions go, this is a long-standing one, the 134th match, not too far away. Oxford are going for the record 6 wins in a row today, but this is a doughty Cambridge lineup. Oxford, as for their lineup, well, they've had that fairly late disruption with the loss of their captain George Messam. Nick Roberts-Huntley instead starts on the blindside flank with the youngest player on either side, 18-year-old Will Wilson on the open side. Irish hooker Richard Halpin has made it after completing his exam in Oxford this morning. In the backs, fly half George Cullen scored 18 points last year. And think about the task for stand-in captain Henry Lamont in the centre. He's not huge, just 5'8", and directly opposite Jamie Roberts today. For Cambridge, there is, of course, that visitor from another sporting world with them today. But there's not much Roberts could do on his own if the Light Blues pack struggles as badly as it did last year. This time, though, things promise to be different. A key figure might be Dave Spellman. The England student's tight head prop comes in to bolster the front row. There's a large professional element in the second row as well, with former Munster player Ian Nagle. Fascinating to see how Roberts fits into this backline. Captain Don Stevens moves into his preferred position of scrum half from fly half. These are the replacements. Number 22 for Cambridge. Cambridge have Mike Phillips as well as Jamie Roberts, but he's a 19-year-old medical student. Oxford have fullback Andre Abraham, who played for Cambridge in 2012 and 13. Referee of this one, Greg Garner. And we are just about ready for the 134th edition. Little beep of the referee's watch, modern times, and away they go. And an immediate mistake from the Oxford wing. Henry Hughes, nerves and a knock-on and a chance for Cambridge to launch the first attack.
Advantage over.
And there is a first sighting of Jamie Roberts. He'll do some damage in the Oxford defensive midfield. There's Stevens, South African, formerly of Stellenbosch. Oxford man down injured. And see, it's Henry Lamont, the captain, has taken a bit of a battering there, and he's still struggling. The space out there. Roberts, loose pass from Jamie Roberts. Didn't go forwards, a little step and a shuffle from Tom Stileman. His father Will actually played for both Oxford and Cambridge, one of the few to have done so. I think Henry Lamont's still down, struggling. So Cambridge attacking 15-14 at the moment. Wide it goes. And Roberts is downed. Taken down well by Fraser Gillis. And then the carry by Max Montgomery.
Not on the ball.
Belfast born student. A little bit of confusion there in the pass. Just went beyond Daniel Das, but Cambridge still with it, but they haven't made too much ground. Oliver Clough sets it back, and then Stevens decides to put boot on ball, but it's easily enough gathered by Matt Geiger. And Geiger really can fly, but not when he's met by Dave Spellman.
Inside.
And they're still without their captain, Henry Lamont, he would call himself, but he's still down. And Simon Davis. That's a frenetic start to this game. 2 solid minutes of entertaining play, and still Oxford with 14 men. I'm not sure Henry Lamont is going to play too much more of a role in this game. Little chip over the top by the Cambridge captain, Don Stevens. His opposite number, Henry De Barker. And Oxford keep it alive, but then no, Cambridge strip it. And there is Jamie Roberts, space appearing out wide, and Roberts manages to offload in the tackle. Little step and a go from Cherezov, but he's punched back well by Fergus Taylor. And Lamont is leaving the field, so Oxford are going to lose their captain early on. Cambridge now still attacking with that extra man, Max Montgomery.
Stay there, 4. Thank you.
And Stevens spins it wide. Opportunities out there now, but it can't quite find the hands of Tom Stileman. And as their captain trudges off, a rather forlorn figure, his side try to find some way out of their own 22.
Advantage over.
And eventually the ball is out. And what's that, 3 minutes? 3 minutes. We haven't heard from Brian Moore. Welcome, Brian.
And that's a blessing, some people would say. You use the word frenetic, and you're absolutely right, but this is what this particular game is all about, and quite often it is. I think that's Lamont getting run over by Jamie Roberts. If you see this here, wasted opportunity, men out there, That's drawn straight, he's drawn the man, but that's a shocking pass. Shocking pass.
Yeah,
Drop him. No, at the end of the day, what has to happen for one side's got to settle down. Because at the moment, you know, this is harem scarum, 100 miles an hour stuff. They need to have a bit more poise. They need to understand that when Roberts makes ground, which he will do, is what you do after that. Whether you've got the plan to exploit the ground he's made.
That's Ed David coming on, number 23 for Oxford, replacement for Henry Lamont. So back to full complement of 15. He's come on the wing, so a bit of a reshuffle in the midfield for Oxford. But Cambridge still with the ball, all the early ball to play with Cambridge. There is their tight head prop, Dave Spellman, former Durham University player, England students tight head. Carried by their number 8, Sam Farmer. He was once in the Northampton Academy, tipped for great things. There is Roberts. Ball comes back for the Light Blues. Eventually the decision is a little chip over the top from Gillis, but taken down nicely.
Ruck.
First real opportunity to try and build an attack. Oxford. Fergus Taylor takes it in. Just about 5 minutes gone. That's well picked up. A little chip over the top, and it was for the chasing man. Beautiful play by Matt Janney, gets it away, and George Cullen is there. Janney, a Georgian Sevens player, using a bit of skill, but Cambridge get the penalty in the end. It's about the first time that Oxford have been in the Cambridge half.
It wasn't a pity for Oxford, because had they been able to get quick ball from that ruck, they had a significant advantage out on the left, probably 3 men over. Couldn't do it, gave a penalty away. The last passage of play from Cambridge is what I'm talking about with Roberts. Roberts actually attracted 5 players on his own into that breakdown. Cambridge, when it came back, didn't seem to know where and what they were going to do.
Because there was an injury, so I'll find out now for you.
It was lovely play by Janney.
5. Yeah.
I mentioned he's a Georgian Sevens player.
5.
Also dated Emma Watson for a while. There's a bit of showbiz gossip for you. Well, you probably didn't want. Cambridge line out does not work. And the Oxford hooker, Richie Halpin, takes it down. So the man who was sitting an exam this morning at Oxford, helicopter down from Iffley Road, and here he is. And Fraser Heathcote, number 8, sets it back. Well, it was a tackle which was well timed for the oncoming Oxford man Tom Stileman to take, as it was taken down by Cherezov.
Different ball. There you go, lads. That's your mark. Okay.
Did well here. He was the only chaser though. Going to put the ball up. If he'd caught him, kept him in field, there would have been no one there to exploit that particular chase.
7.
And I get the impression that a lot of kicking from scrum half thus far has been completely off the cuff. Players not in position to chase, sometimes not chase at all.
2.
That has to change.
2 and 2. 7. 2 and 2, please.
Halpin can't find his man, so the early lineouts on both sides struggling. That one taken by Ian Nagel. And Nagel, another one of the very experienced players. He was actually man of the match for Munster against Australia in the win over Australia in 2010, and he's going back to play professional rugby after he's finished his time at Cambridge. So again, just adds that they've got a good bit of experience in the pack and in midfield.
Well, they got hammered up front last year, and indeed they've had a hard time in the 4 previous fixtures, so they needed to do something about it. It must be disappointing. You get a penalty there. He's kicked it, what, 15 metres.
See how the line-out fares this time. Taken down by Ian Nagel, and the old dive pass from Stevens sort of worked in the end, and Roberts shovels it out wide. And a bit of juggling on the wing from Andy Rees, but can't quite keep the ball in play. A lot of attention coming in as well from Matt Janney.
Well, again, it ruins any running lines that were set up. As soon as the ball goes down there, everyone is at least 3 yards out of kilter.
Hold on, just step out, please, White. Thank you.
And Oxford need to start finding their line out. Halpin goes to the front this time, and Fergus Taylor.
That's once. No.
Just a glimpse we've seen of either side attempting a good driving, rolling maul, and it's working well for Oxford. And they get the penalty.
And there's a player pulling the player down as well. Side entry.
So kick for touch from George Cullen. Man who scored 18 points last year. Well, his father has history in this fixture, but for Cambridge. Played 3 times scrum half for Cambridge.
7, I think.
He was actually turned down entry to Cambridge, so he has righteousness on his side. He he badly wants to win.
We've all been turned down by some Oxbridge college or other.
I think I was turned down by Dundee. Taken down by Nick Roberts-Huntley. He's actually a friend of Jamie Roberts from Cardiff University days. Oxford with the ball, but heading backwards at the moment. Good work by George Cullen, making ground. And trying a more direct approach to the scrum half, Henry de Barker. So Cambridge's defence being tested for the first time.
Tackle,
A little
release.
carry by Will Wilson, the youngest man in either side, the 18-year-old. Shuffle around in the midfield, and then Nick Roberts-Huntley
Ball's there. Stay on.
takes it to ground. 10 minutes have passed and still waiting the first score. And Oxford just feeling their way into this game now. Starting to make a bit of progress, although not too much progress there from Andrew Grant, but the penalty is there for the Dark Blues and kickable range.
Well, those are better patterns from Oxford. One of the problems they've got, though, is that when they come into contact, they're not getting over the gain line.
Yeah, okay, but you still lifted him, so it's a penalty. Okay, be very careful.
2 captains down there for Oxford.
Yeah, okay.
George Messam consoling Henry Lamont, and Matt Janney is the captain on the field now, we understand, but they are spending captains fiercely at the moment. They lost 2 key figures there, one a couple of weeks ago in George Messam, we talked about before the game, and then Henry Lamont with the injury.
Given a penalty of a dangerous play, leg lifted up. Couldn't see too much in that myself.
That was a theme which developed rather strongly at the World Cup, and dangerous play is being cracked down upon in all parts of the game. So George Cullen with a chance of the first points of this 134th varsity match. Well, sort of dying as it went over, but it was straight and true. 3 points to Oxford as they look for their 6th win in succession. They have the lead with 11.5 minutes gone at Twickenham.
And Oxford will be very pleased about that, because Cambridge really have had the better of the exchanges up to that point. Oxford only a couple of incursions into the Cambridge half, and they come away with the points. Cambridge still to register.
Taken down well there as he was scampering back. Lewis Anderson, a veteran of this fixture. He's appearing in his 6th varsity match. He really should get a job, but he's been around a long time. Stalwart of the front row. Very experienced player. A master's in sociology. I say a veteran, he's 25, so really a veteran. So Oxford deciding not to contest initially. Then engaging, and it's held at the back by Daniel Das, the open side flanker for Cambridge, and they try their hand at the maul.
No, you're not the back, you're on the outside. Okay, I have to go then 6.
And making good ground as well. And Oxford beginning to splinter and break up a little bit. Hard to defend here. Cambridge making real yardage. And frustration on the Oxford side, the dark blue. It is a walk to the line for Cambridge. They're closing in within 10 metres now. What can Oxford do? Down it goes. Das still with it.
Let go now, your feet.
Stevens, the captain, digging in there for it. But it's picked up by the forwards to go instead. And they're getting closer. Great effort by the forwards. And they keep it within themselves at the moment. It's all the heavy men for Cambridge doing the work. Now wide it goes. What a tackle coming in there. A great hit comes in from the... I think it was the Oxford winger, Henry Hughes.
Six.
Still though, Cambridge threatening this line, a couple of metres short. Carried for a moment by Spellman.
A lot of space out on the left if they recognise it. Too late.
The ball, but they are still closing. Now Stevens moves it with that dive pass again and trying to make his own way through is Fraser Gillis. Held up short. Desperate Oxford defence. The seventh phase can't quite carry Cambridge to the line, and they ebb back a couple of metres or so, and Oxford reward for their defence. The dark blues have the scrum and have the applause at the moment. What an effort initially in attack from Cambridge, but ended by Oxford, and that man there was at the heart of it. A huge hit coming in from Henry Hughes at one point.
Well, Cambridge did so many things right. The initial drive was really well controlled. They had the discipline to keep it direct, keep tight, but you've got to decide when you're going forward like that, do you go all the way, or actually do you release the ball when the other team is on the back foot? It would have been better to do that, because once they've dragged everybody in, it closed down all their options out wide. They had to stay narrow. Eventually, when they did recognise that there might be a little bit of width, it was too late, the ball was too slow, and they were covered.
Crouch.
But they'll be having a go at that driving maul again, I'm sure, Cambridge.
Bind.
Big hits. Came in on James Kilroe from Henry Hughes, you saw there. So Oxford with the ball, and the first scrum of the match. 15 minutes gone. And Cambridge certainly better with a scrum there than they were last year. Pick up at the back by Fraser Heathcote for Oxford. This is going to be a very, very different game to that last year. The record win for Oxford. And the Cambridge fullback Simon Davis thinks better of the quick throw, but already signs that this Cambridge pack in particular.
Well, it needed to be. It needed to be. Heathcote doing well in the end there, because he actually ran against the wheel. Probably better to just pick that up, back in, get his flanker onto him, get the scrum half onto him. As it was when the Cambridge left-hand side of the scrum went up, he had to actually go right round. He was lucky he wasn't caught behind his own or on his own gain, on his own try line.
Max Montgomery, the Cambridge hooker, hits his man this time, and well, you can't blame them for trying to make a bit of ground again through the maul.
6 away.
Dave Spellman takes a bit of a thump there, manages to get the ball back for Cambridge again. Oxford have the lead, but they have spent much of this half, much of the opening 16 minutes in their own half. Sam Farmer, number 8 for the Light Blues, and then Stevens again, and Gillis gives it at close quarters.
Not on the ball. Take a step, 6. Use it.
A bit of a standstill, but shipped on by Kilroe. And there is Das again, who's been very, very lively in this opening
Good steal,
15-16 minutes. Good steal, says the referee. It had to be for Oxford. They're on the back foot, and a chance for Cullen to move it wide. And there is Henry Hughes in defence and now attack.
No.
Good strength for Oxford. Like Roberts Huntley.
Yeah, thank you, Pete. Sorry, I missed that one.
And as Matt Janney comes away with it, the referee spot a little knock on by dark blue paws, and it will be a Cambridge scrum.
Tremendous robbing work on the floor there. Totally isolated. Took on 3 or 4 Cambridge players, came away with the ball, but Cambridge are making breaks. The problem for them is when they do get the ball, that's a great steal, isn't it? When they do get the ball, they do not seem to have any real understanding of where they're trying to go after that. They are making the ground, they are getting over the gain line consistently when the tackles are coming in, and yet nothing is coming of it.
Well, very encouraged. Again, look at the scoreboard if you're a Cambridge fan. You're disappointed, but you'll be heartily encouraged by what you've seen on the pitch so far. Unlike
all games, there will be a time when Oxford are in the ascendancy, when they do have a period where they have ball in the right areas, in the right territory, and Cambridge simply have to put points on the board when they get anywhere near in try-scoring or goal-kicking range.
James Shanahan, the Cambridge coach. You saw James Wade for Oxford before that. And again, more consolation for Henry Lamont. It looked like a shoulder injury, but again, deeply frustrating.
Crouch.
He scored a first half try in the win in 2013, and he started the last 3 matches. So this one, he was off within about a minute.
Well, this is the first scrum on Cambridge ball, and they'll be looking to be solid because in the fixture last year they got hammered, destroyed by Ian Williams, the Oxford tight head.
Well, yeah, he forced the very early substitution of the Cambridge captain. He really did have the best of that day, Ian Williams, but it's again a very different Cambridge pack this year. It seems to be going down again in the front row, but they're more settled now, and Cambridge were the better of this one. Comfortable ball for Stevens once he stops chirping away. Thought the Oxford scrum half was encroaching. Good charge through the middle. It's Oliver Clough, lesser heralded centre in Cambridge midfield. Good carry now as well by James Kilroe. And Gillis slips it away again to Ilya Cherezov. Once more with Fraser Gillis, Scotland under-20s player.
Goal away.
Oxford still with that slender lead. That one penalty from George Cullen, but Cambridge on the attack again, and Sam Farmer, number 8, carries into the 22 once more. Stevens gives it deep, running onto it. Cherezov on the wing. Hands on it from Oxford, and I would say it might have been a fair steal, but better than that, they have the penalty.
Well, confusion again from Cambridge once a break was made. Roberts attracting 2 tacklers, strong enough to get the offload away and being carried on. But when the ball came right, you had a winger and you had 3 lumbering forwards who were the only option to go right. They were too far behind play, and again Cambridge make the initial incursion, but they cannot do anything thereafter.
Is he a little bit low?
Well, there he is. He'll be heading off to Harlequins. As soon as this match is done, he's going to join up with his Harlequins team, or perhaps not in the immediate aftermath, but in the days to come. I think he's going to play against Calvisano next week in the Challenge Cup for Harlequins. So,
set a space, please,
all change. His course becomes part-time after this full-time term, and then over the next 2 years he'll do a day a week working at Addenbrooke's. Line-out misfires and running onto it at pace. George Cullen, but turnover, and Robert ships it wide to his partner in the midfield, Oliver Clough again. And Stevens gives it to James Kilroe, and Das tries to slip it away to Gillis.
13, lost.
There's Sam Farmer again. Well, it's 3-0 to Oxford. We've got 20 minutes gone, and a high tackle you'd think coming in on Rob Hall. It was Cullen leaping into the challenge, but fine, says the referee. And Spellman carries again, and Stevens gives it to Gillis. And there is Roberts. Now there are men out wide for Cambridge, and straightening up the line is Sam Farmer. And Farmer taken down well. Good tackle by Matt Janney.
That's okay.
Still with Cambridge, their possession stats will be rather impressive. And a carry again, James Kilroe. So there's Roberts. Oh, lovely little move. Was a pass forward? No, carried on by Simon Davis, the fullback. The rare touch of the ball.
15 off!
And once again, deep into the 22, go Cambridge. Roberts on the crash. Still Cambridge, still no points to show for all their efforts though. 22 minutes gone. And the great rear guard efforts so far from Oxford. There's a Kilroe again.
Penalty coming.
And the advantage was there. The penalty is there now. They will surely have 3 points, but the very least that they would feel they deserve for...
So you're putting your hands in front of the back
for all their efforts, all that territory and possession.
And again, making significant ground in and around and through tackles. When you're talking about a fixture like this, you know, there's so much temptation, there's so much adrenaline going to be working up to it, but the ball is just being sprayed around. The kicking game has been non-existent, and whilst you can say, oh, that's attractive, the ball's in hand, the kicking part of the game is a variety which is necessary to pull people in and around the back threes and so on. So they've got something to think about. At the moment, all they've got to think about is ball being moved and ball being shuffled down the centres.
So there's the captain, the scrum half, who played fly half the last couple of years, Don Stevens, to try and level things up. Through it goes, 3 points up on the board for Cambridge. And again, after last year's result, a 43-6 win to Oxford. We stress again, and it's clear for all to see this year is going to be very, very different.
Well, Cambridge will be relieved to get points on the board. They probably should have had more, but at least they are now level. At least they do have a reward for some of their efforts. Maybe that will settle them down.
Long restart by Cullen, taken in by Gillis. He actually had a year at Racing Metro, but it was as a 17-18-year-old when he was in France, so not sure he quite broke into the first team. But so I suppose technically we'd say we've got two former Racing Metro players in the Cambridge backline, and in sort of Racing Metro colours, or Racing 92.
The usual conference taking place before the line-out.
Left front man's on the mark. Get in your come, please, Blue.
Well, the lineouts have been a sort of rich source for opposing sides so far.
Yeah.
And there was their advantage there. I mean, you see the arms being wrapped around the man as he was in the air. He sort of tried to sneak out of it, but the damage was done.
Okay, 5, you've grabbed hold of him in the air.
That's Ian Nagel, you see, a man of great experience, former Munster player.
Too early. Just left it a little bit. He did the right thing, pull the thing down, because then he can't drive. Can't touch him in the air though. That's where it comes.
And it's a good kick for touch off that penalty as well. It gives Oxford.
Now this is the first opportunity Oxford have had deep in Cambridge territory, and actually the very little ball that they have had, they've looked more cogent.
Give yourself a gap.
In terms of where they're seeking to attack.
The line out. Overthrow again, and Cambridge spared here by that Oxford line-out, and Gillis carries for just a couple of yards. And there's Sam Farmer. He's actually once included in the 2011 top Premiership Rising Stars alongside Christian Wade and Joe Launchbury. Sam Farmer, he's got real talent there.
You do appreciate that these are not professional players. You can't expect professional standards of them. However, that last throw was just awful, frankly.
Let's see how they manage this time. Long consultation, and Richie Halpin, former Blackrock College pupil.
6!
This one rather better. And a great defensive shove, but it's smuggled away by Halpin. It's not, in fact, it's Will Wilson. It's great Cambridge defence, and untidy ball for Oxford to play with, but coming straight through the middle, James Kilroe. Fine, says the referee. A little punch of the ball there, you could see it close quarters as well. And Nick Roberts-Huntley now carries for Oxford. Keeping it close, let the forwards do their work first of all. Fergus Taylor sets it back. And now Cullen gives it deep to the replacement, Ed David, and David trying to scuttle his way around the defence, but not much doing there.
Don't play the 9.
So Henry De Barca gives it on to Will Wilson. Big thump comes in on him. Manages to keep that ball though. Wide it goes, little chip through from Matt Janney. Well directed. Stevens on. Stevens in trouble with a slip. Does well though, keeps his composure and slipped it on. Starman with the clearance, bounces nicely for Matt Geiger. It was Rees with a clearing kick for Cambridge, and Oxford have to build again. A penalty again to Oxford, and again just about kickable.
Well, Cambridge just overdoing it there, but they are winning most of the physical battles, not just in terms of the tackling, but on the previous line out. They've ruined all of Oxford's expectations because they simply had bigger physical presence in and around the ruck, and whilst they didn't get a turnover, it meant that Oxford eventually had to drag 3 or 4 of the runners that they wanted to run at the Cambridge midfield. So Oxford, whilst they are looking quite organised when they do get the ball, they're losing the physical battle in all the important areas at the moment, and yet they may well take a lead here.
So Cullen, as I mentioned, 18 points last year. He scored a try as well as 13 points off the tee. His father John, I think, is here today. He played 3 times for Cambridge. Well, just veering off his true course at the end. It sounded like a good strike, but no difference to the scoreboard. Stony-faced supporters. Half an hour gone, 3 points apiece. So Gillis with the 22 restart, taken in by Henry De Barca, and given on to Will Wilson.
Say 2.
And Oxford making good ground again. Far more of the territory to play with, but Cambridge turned that over well. And Don Stevens out in the full. It looked like good distance and was very nearly a perfect kick, but all the way back they'll come now.
Well, it's good robbing work by Jamie Roberts, using his power and strength. But if you look, really, when they've made ground 1, 2, 3 players,
Let's go, please, Oxford.
not accurate enough at the breakdown.
Give yourselves room, please.
Challenging Roberts head on to taking a leg up. Once he gets his leg off the floor, won't be holding his own body weight, he'll have to let go of the ball.
You saw perhaps there just what Jamie Roberts is worth. Situations like that, turnover ball, all that power, all that nous, and Cambridge ball to play with again. And Roberts, well, it wasn't the best pass given on by Jamie Roberts. I think poor old Oliver Clough thought he'd be getting pure ball all day long.
Well, we don't underestimate the pressure that Jamie Roberts will put on himself for this game, because he'd be desperate to show that his quality is what it is. The fact is, that's not a great ball, is it?
So you got to be higher to start off with.
He will know the expectations that are on him. He will want to prove he is the player that we have all seen him be and make an impression on this game.
Yes, his new home is waiting just across the A316 at the Twickenham Stoop. Harlequin's life will begin shortly after this match for Jamie Roberts.
Bind. Set.
Again, that Cambridge scrum so much better than last year. They begin to feel a bit of a squeeze there.
Oxford have done well with that.
A good pick up at the back and good offload to the replacement, Ed David.
He's out of the way.
Not the biggest man, David, but he's plenty of life in those feet. And Ian Williams has to stand up in the challenge. And carried in by the veteran, Lewis Anderson. Oxford just beginning to build again. George Cullen. Quick ball for Henry de Barker. De Barker nearly through. Light blue shirts get around him, but Oxford making good ground now. Good quick hands as well. Give it to Williams. Oxford threatening there. First try. Fraser Heathcote. De Barker gives it wide again, and Cullen meets Gillis.
10 on in the side.
Phase number 8, good strength by Nick Roberts-Huntley.
12 off feet!
And he's left some damage there, Roberts-Huntley, as he went through.
Tackle, let go too.
Still with Oxford, still the edge closer. Wide it goes now. Good pick-up, good take by Matt Geiger for Oxford. And good tackle as well coming in from Oliver Clough. Ian Williams again does his bit, the tight head prop. Little shuffle onto the ball at close quarters. De Barker looking at the options, gives it to Cullen. Cullen looking inside for Janney. Great defence by Cambridge. Jamie Roberts in there as well, trying to do his bit. Carried in by Tom Stileman. Still 10 metres, 12 metres short. And still they come 15 phases for Oxford. Slows down, but it's patient play, if nothing else. Cullen gives it Janney, little dummy, holds on to it himself. Then it's with Henry Hughes. Manages to get those legs moving, the winger, makes good ground. The scrum half, De Barker gets himself to ground.
Release!
Someone else will have to come in and feed this ball for Oxford. Fergus Taylor picks and goes. Crying for it out wide, Oxford. Cullen loops it out there now to the fullback. Matt Geiger, and Geiger almost there. Geiger just short.
Done.
Oxford bearing down on the line. Wide it goes. Great pick up, but he can't quite get there. Andrew Grant into touch. So close. How many phases they went through there. It ends just the wrong side of the corner flag for Oxford.
A pity for Oxford, because had they got the ruck ball 2 phases previous, they did have an overlap on the left, but again, just quite not quick enough. He's been the most dangerous player on the pitch today.
Time off.
He's looked sharp all the way through, Geiger. That's a lovely pickup.
Good pickup, good effort as well by Don Stevens, the scrum half and captain for Cambridge, doing his bit to get Andrew Grant out into touch. But yeah, Matt Geiger has been very, very lively at full-back, but Don Stevens, his defensive capabilities fully tested there.
I alluded to this earlier on, that Oxford would get a period when they were on top, were putting Cambridge under pressure. At the moment, they haven't put points on the board.
How many?
A lineup that simply has to work from a Cambridge point of view. And Max Montgomery, the from Belfast again. Oxford don't engage there, and that pass just finds its way to the number 8, Sam Farmer. So Cambridge trying to buy themselves a few yards before clearing their lines, and now Stevens can. Out it goes. I thought it was almost touched in flight. It didn't fly too truly. It wasn't the greatest kick, but they've at least cleared their way out of their own 22.
Well, they are not right on their line, but Oxford are still in a dangerous position.
7.
Well, both sides have had that. They've each had a really concerted go on the try line in coming so close. Still just a penalty apiece. Very, very evenly matched. Well, you do sense, as Brian was saying, Oxford just having the better the last few minutes. But the line out goes wrong again for the Dark Blues, and Cambridge see if they can get a bit of a maul moving. It's being held at the back by Spellman.
Okay, 3, yeah? 3's gone back, that's fine. If he does it again, just call it again, please,
and
right?
they wander forward, seemingly at will. Oxford unable to defend the Cambridge maul.
He's okay. It's not in the edge, through the middle. You're through the middle. No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine.
Fine. Everyone calm down.
Stand still,
Referee's soothing tones as the clearing kick goes from Gillis. Good length on it, but it finds only Matt Geiger. And Geiger a flash of those orange boots, and he gives it on nicely to David, and Ed David. And both he and Matt Geiger are hard men to catch. And DeBarker gives it to Cullen. And on to Henry Hughes. Likewise, he's been very feisty on the wing. They're not big men at all in the back three for Oxford, but lots of pace.
Stay there, 7.
There's 3 minutes remaining, 3 points apiece. Good work by Will Wilson, I say the 18-year-old England Sevens captain at the Commonwealth Youth Games. There's Gianni. Nicely shoveled on to Geiger before he can get halfway into his massive step. He's taken down. And Fergus Taylor.
Play on.
Well, stripped by Cambridge, and Dave Spellman comes away with it.
Now move.
And Nick Roberts-Huntley coming through there, the Oxford number 6. Stevens gets that ball away and a switch of direction, but the Oxford defence smartly up in this. Good pickup by Andy Rees.
Lost. Ruck now, 7. Ruck.
And James Kilroe. So Cambridge again. Well, that's
He made the tackle. He made the tackle.
you would have thought that was a sort of running interference from Simon Davis going in there.
We didn't give it because the would-be tackler wasn't obstructed. He actually did make the tackle.
As the referee made clear, and Cambridge still with it. 1.5 minutes remaining, or thereabouts. Stevens complains.
Don't play the 9 now.
As there's a scrum half want to the referee, and Gillis now. And Fergus Taylor
Pause there.
down to the ground. So a few phases here for Cambridge, but not making too much ground. So energy sapping work this for both sides. Dave Spellman again. And Ian Nagel. Still just with Cambridge. Gillis running out of options there. Didn't like the look of anything on offer.
7's not on the ball. Let go now, 7 blue.
Still with Cambridge. They've been sort of battering away just outside their own 22 for some time now.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Just hoping that some tiredness, some weakness will appear. Eventually the kicking option from Gillis. Took his time about it, prods it over the top, and waiting for it is Matt Geiger. Does well to keep it in play. Gives it on to Ed David. 2 little firecrackers, and then Don Stileman. Good work from Stileman. Offloads to Cullen. Chance here for Oxford. Cullen on his own now. Taken down well. Offloads beautifully. Carried on by Stileman again. Ball goes loose. Ball goes forward. Cambridge will have the scrum. And the referee may have a look at his watch and say that's enough as we near 40 minutes, but just a hint of menace there from Oxford.
Well, as you alluded to earlier on, the Oxford back three, they're not particularly big, but they are quick, and they have been the standout backs on the field today. For Cambridge, second row pairing of Hall and Nagel have got through a tremendous amount of work. Probably haven't seen a lot of it, but it's their physical presence which has slowed a lot of the Oxford ball down.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
That doesn't look good.
Okay.
No, is that Don Stevens? Trying to see who that is down. It's not Don Stevens. There's the Oxford captain, the erstwhile Oxford captain, Henry Lamont off. And,
it's exactly the same I said to them. It's just in the penalty where you kick the balls. Just don't chase lost causes. I know it's worrying. Don't chase lost causes. Okay. Exactly the same I said to them. I know it's like competitive. And, yeah, that's fine. You know, but once it's there, we're doing all right. Okay, thank you.
It doesn't look promising for Cambridge. The clock has gone red. This will be the last passage of play.
Come up here and say we start refereeing this game. Yeah, cool, sorry. Yeah, I'll stay this side, okay? All right, just outside the 22. Okay. Send him on then, please.
So that's George Williams coming on, and it's Guruldelia Cherizov who has done something unpleasant to the wrist, the forearm, shoulder, something in that general area. But his game is over, and George Williams is on. So both sides have been forced into a change at the end of the half for Cambridge, at the start for Oxford, and it's 3 points apiece. It really is a very finely balanced game. Cambridge again with a pretty stout scrum there. What a difference a year makes, and Stevens just puts it out. And so we will resume in the second half at 3 points apiece. And Brian, again, Cambridge I think had the better perhaps of the first quarter, Oxford the better of the second quarter, but it really is like I say, a game on a knife edge.
It is, because the teams have not been able to make the most of the good opportunities that they've had. What this requires is a period of calmness in thinking. You know, people are putting their bodies on the line, they are very committed, but unfortunately they're not thinking their way through the game, especially what they do with ball that is good.
Well, both sides have threatened the trial end, they've come close but haven't quite crossed it. It's a penalty apiece for George Cullen for Oxford and for Don Stevens for Cambridge. It is 3 points apiece, all to play for in the second half.
Certainly is, and I don't know how many minutes the ball was actually in play in that first period, but it must be more minutes than we're used to seeing in most matches that if you're a regular television viewer of rugby anyway. But a lot of the time it was nobody actually going anywhere, but the intensity was very clear to see on both sides, that how much it means to everybody. The defence was absolutely immense, you know, from 1 to 15 on both sides. Simon Halliday and Damien Hopley here representing the dark blue and the light blue side of affairs. Simon, what did you make of that first 40 minutes?
Well, it was quite traditional in a way, that people running around at a rate of knots, and very unusually for me. I agree with some of what Brian Moore has been saying on commentary. It's very unusual, but there was a lack of clarity of thought, particularly from the Oxford side when they had opportunities to score. So I think they need a bit of calmness, a bit of precision, but they look the more dangerous team inevitably.
I mean, interestingly, the last time there was a big occasion here was the Rugby World Cup final, and people talk about New Zealand and the way they play the game, but there's no team in the world that actually kicks the ball more than New Zealand do. But they kick for position, they kick for territory, and then they put pressure on the opposition. We've barely seen a ball kicked in open play today, David.
Well, we have, and I think, you know, you think about it, the whole term is built up for this 80 minutes, and everyone's coming out harem-scarum and trying desperately hard to make their impact. I think at half-time it's all about calm heads. You know, some really positive play by Cambridge in the first quarter of that game, but then Oxford coming right back into it. And yeah, it is very evenly balanced, obviously, but hopefully some clear thinking will help the light blues through.
Well, maybe that clear thinking is going to come from Jamie Roberts. I mean, an interesting first 40 minutes for him, which started in the first minute with him basically putting the Oxford captain out of the game with the first of his barnstorming runs. Here we go, crash, and that was the end of Lamont's varsity match. What have you made of Roberts' performance overall?
I think it's very difficult for guys played at the level he has to, you know, step down, frankly, to you know, a very, very type of game where there's not much leadership going on. And you know, for me, you know, he's put some good passes into play, but some of the rest of the side haven't quite been reading his play. But you know, I think, you know, there's no substitute for quality, and he's got it in abundance. And if this game remains tight, you'd imagine Jamie will make all the difference in critical moments.
What's your take on Jamie Roberts in the way, especially Damien, that he actually obviously is sucking in 2 or 3 Oxford defenders every time he gets the ball?
Well, he's such a huge physical threat in any game that he plays in, so there's no surprise that the Oxford players are sort of swarming around him, and as a result he's creating space for his teammates. I think it's all about trying to make sure that the ball is quality and quick coming back on the Cambridge side, but Jamie obviously does that week in, week out for whoever he's playing for, and is doing so for Cambridge today.
You mentioned how it was a half of 2 halves, because the first 20 minutes it was all Cambridge, but the Oxford defence was very resilient, but it had to be, obviously.
Yeah, I think you know, one thing you know, that in a varsity match the defence is going to be good, and it always takes something special to unlock a defence like that. And so, you know, Oxford are pretty confident in the way they've been playing. They're a very, very experienced side. A lot of them have got multiple blues, so there's no doubt that they're going to defend well. For me, it's a question of whether they can turn the pressure into points.
I mean, there's a couple of big hits coming up here with Cambridge camped on the Oxford line. This is about 15 minutes or so.
Is that a winger's tackle?
Half.
My God.
Yes, it was. It was the Oxford left winger coming in to make that tackle, which was absolutely key. And I mean, you know, there's a danger of over re-emphasising this too much, but this is classic examples, Damien, of how much it means to all these guys, because they know this might be the biggest moment of their career.
And this result will live with them for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
And that's the thing that we've all gone through, whether you win or draw. It's pretty binary. It's in or out. And I mean, I think the Oxford defence has been outstanding near their own line. And fortunately, Cambridge managed to put off a couple of try-saving tackles themselves. But I mean, it really is finely poised. But I think at half-time it's going to be very interesting to see what coaches are saying in terms of where we go from here, particularly from a light blue perspective. I think the forwards have really held their own. They've played well in that first bit. Certainly Nagel in the second row has come and made a big impact, and Spellman at prop. So hopefully they can get some parity and give Jamie Roberts and his back line the platform to launch off.
But the point that Brian made in his commentary, and it came to pass, is that it's the nature of the game that it tends to be momentum-based. And once Oxford actually got into their stride in the last 15 minutes of that first half, they actually came closer than anybody to actually scoring in the corner.
They actually should have had a try, perhaps two. And, you know, the back three is showing a lot of danger in the way they're moving around and moving the ball, multiple passing phases. And I think if I'm the Oxford changing room, first 20 minutes, you've got momentum, keep doing it, guys. Cambridge are tiring, and they're going to crack. So there's a couple of, you know, on the try line tackles here which stop a try being scored. But, you know, if they take that into the change room with them, it's only a matter of time. So first 20 minutes for me is absolutely critical. If Oxford can nail a score or two, then I think there's no coming back from that. But if they don't kick on, then I back Jamie Roberts to have an increasing influence in this match.
Of course, somebody who has a big influence on the match is actually the referee, who's, I mean, the first 3 minutes, I think, there wasn't a single stoppage. And he is just letting the game go, isn't it? He's aware that it's their university students and everybody here, a lot of school children here who want to see a game that's entertaining. So much of the onus is on the referee in every game of rugby, and he has to have, if you like, an empathy for the occasion. And the referee today has certainly got that.
I think he's done very well, in fact, in trying to make sure that it is a spectacle, because what we don't want is a sort of stop-start scenario. We've had some of the World Cup games were horrendous as a result of some of the refereeing interventions, but I think the referee's had a very good game so far, very clear, and you know, hopefully that will continue for the second half.
Is there a TMO here today?
There is a TMO.
There is a TMO, not been called upon.
Not been called upon.
Which is incredible statistic. And I agree with Damon. I think, you know, after the Rugby World Cup, the product is there. You know, people want to see exciting rugby. They want to see the ball in play. They want to see referees helping that happen. And that's certainly happened today.
Okay, talking about statistics, I can tell you actually that the last time there was a match here at Twickenham in the Varsity Match where there wasn't a try in the first half was 14 years ago, but given what happened last year, because it was such a one-sided game, it's great to have a real contest here at Twickenham this afternoon. Now we've got two very famous old blues here alongside me, but there's a very, very famous one who's a bit further along the touchline with Sarah Orchard.
Thank you, John. Yes, I'm in what would be described as the plush seats here at Twickenham with someone who not just won 4 blues in rugby, you also got a few blues in cricket as well.
It's a pleasure to be here, and what a great occasion. Twickenham 3-all at half-time, really nip and tuck as far as the rugby's concerned. The single that's playing out there, that's a charity single that you know, the Oxford and Cambridge players have got together, so we're really trying to revitalise this varsity match, and what they've done on the field so far is set the sights.
Now, of course, you are completely objective at all times, Alistair, but for you, seeing Cambridge come out here and put in a real performance, which perhaps we haven't seen last year.
Well, we've had an awful run of it, and those people who look back in history say, well, Cambridge used to win it a lot in the times gone by, but it's been a bad run for Cambridge, and at last they're going out there playing with real spirit, real skill, and at the moment it's still nip and tuck at who's going to win the game, but it's a terrific contrast and a great advert for the varsity match.
Of course, he's made all the headlines in the build-up to this. What have you made of Jamie Roberts' performance?
Well, you know, I keep waiting for the moment where he blasts his way through and scatters the Oxford players like ninepins, but their defence has been so good. I'm hoping that, from a Cambridge point of view, of course, that we've got that little secret weapon up our sleeves. But Jamie's playing well, but so are all the players. There's some terrific skill shown by all players.
And just quickly, you're here in another capacity as well today, aren't you, Alistair?
Yeah, it's a win-win situation for me. I'm here as a trustee of Leonard Cheshire Disability, who are the official charity of the varsity match. They've got a good presence here. It's a great charity and it's a great match, so I'm happy all the way around.
Alistair Hicknell, thank you so much for your time. Back to you, John.
Well, Alistair obviously has been an integral part of our BBC rugby team for the last 20 odd years or so, and it's interesting seeing Jamie Roberts out on the field because obviously he's a qualified doctor and he knows exactly what the next few years hold for him once his rugby career is finished. In fact, going back to the women's match earlier on today, which was won by 52 points to 0, very emphatically by Oxford, or by Cambridge rather. I ought to say actually there were, I think, 9 vets and doctors in the Cambridge team, so they clearly know what direction they're going in. But Damien, we've got you here, you know, as a former Blue, but also in your capacity from the Players' Union point of view, because I know you're one of the key areas that you're focusing on at the moment is what do professional rugby players do once they have to hang up their boots, either voluntarily or because of injury or whatever it might be. And so you've just started a key program that you hope is going to make their lives a bit easier once that day comes.
Yeah, we run the personal development program for all of our players, and we started about 10-12 years ago, and now over 80% of the players playing in the Premiership are actively involved with this program. And it's all about not just what you do when you finish rugby, but actually creating a bit more work-life balance, having interest and passions away from the field, because we believe that creates better people, better players, and therefore a better game. So to see Jamie out there today and knowing the sacrifices he made as a professional player while studying for his medical exams, I think it's a fantastic role model for a lot of professional players, because without sounding too parental, they definitely have some time on their hands, and it's important that they therefore have that balance and strike a balance, so when they do finish, they've actually got something to move into that gives them confidence and they can get on with the rest of their lives.
And that is a clear shift of emphasis, actually, because I know, you and I have had this conversation many times in recent years. Certainly 5-10 years ago, there was a feeling that a lot of players were literally just staring into a void once their career ended.
We're at the end of the first kind of cycle of professionalism, and it's so great to hear this news that Damien's just been talking about, because it's a massive challenge for professional sportsmen and particularly rugby players. And you know, and what they do next. We were very lucky in the amateur days. We actually had things going on in our lives outside of rugby, and that makes you a better person in any case. So a lot of the guys lack that, and the fact these initiatives are coming in, it's not before time, but it's very, very welcome, and it can only do good.
Okay, last minute or so before the players come back. Three apiece, obviously anybody's game. So in terms of, you know, we always say the first 10 minutes of the second half, how key do you think the next score might be?
It'll be absolutely crucial. I think what's really interesting from a Cambridge perspective, Don Stevens, a scrum half, who's not actually lasted the last 2 varsities he's played in. He's a captain. I think he's so central to Cambridge success today, so hopefully he's going to stay on the field and hopefully going to be lifting the trophy in about 40 minutes' time.
Oxford first out at the start of this second half. Are you confident it's going to be 6 in a row for Oxford?
I am, because I love the momentum in the last 10 minutes. You know, Oxford seem to have the better ball players. I think they want to kind of play around Jamie Roberts, not through him, because that won't help them very much. So they were just showing signs that out wide they've got a bit of extra, and so first 20 minutes, as I said, absolutely critical. Get a score. Cambridge has to play some proper rugby to get back in it, and that's probably beyond them.
OK, well, we're scouring the record books to see when was the last varsity match when not a single try was scored, but let's hope we don't have to look at that record for too long and we actually get some points on the score.
When I played.
In that snowy day. What year? We showed the pictures at the start of the programme, actually. What year was that snowy day?
1981, the centenary varsity match.
1981, when the whole of Twickenham was just covered in snow. What fantastic pictures those were that we showed you at the start of the programme. Now, Jamie Roberts is injured, we're hearing, and is off the field and will take no part in the second half. So, does that mean that Cambridge's ace, not literally in their pack, has gone? Anyway, here we go, 3 apiece. Who's going to win the varsity match this year? Let's go back to Brian Moore and Andrew Cotter.
Anybody's game, as we sort of suggested beforehand. Jamie Roberts has been replaced by Mike Phillips. So 22, Mike Phillips has come on, the 19-year-old medical student. So there's another medical student. So he's on in place of Jamie Roberts, but obviously we will find out what's happened to Jamie Roberts, but a big loss for Cambridge. And Oxford were coming back into things and looking stronger towards the end of that first half anyway, so this might be a long half for Cambridge. They'll need people like Ian Nagle on the ball now to keep on doing what they've been doing, the former Munster second row. Good take by Mike Geiger, really has been impressive, and so too Ed David since he's come on, and David, there he is, just scampering and scuttling around. Good offload as well to Fergus Taylor, and slick hands from Oxford, good feet as well from Matt Janney. Oxford beginning where they left off in that first half. Slip inside to Andrew Grant. Just hearing Jamie Roberts off with a dead leg, which can be very debilitating. So a big thump to
Come out of the way,
big thigh, and he is off. Cambridge have lost Jamie Roberts for this second half. Henry DeBarker gives it on to Fergus Taylor again, slips it to Ian Williams, and he has quick hands as well. And Oxford attacking again with real fluency. Good pickup again by Cullen, gives it on, finds support from Stileman. Stileman still going, strong winger. Oxford once again bearing down on the Cambridge line. You see already the Cambridge players breathing so hard in defence. And it's cries for the dark blues for Oxford that come from the Twickenham stands, carried in there by Will Wilson. To Barker, to Cullen. And a little spill by Matt Janney. And Cambridge will have the scrum, but if you're a light blues fan, ominous early signs.
Well, 3 or 4 top quality pieces of play there from Oxford, particularly the pick-up on the run, but unfortunately just undone by simply taking the eyes off the ball.
Okay, lads,
looking who's come in and hit him. And I'm afraid that's been the story of much of the first half. You'd hope it wouldn't be the same in the second half.
Well, there he is. Big right thigh is being iced, and he'll be furious.
Crouch.
And so much attention on him as well. As Brian was saying in the first half, he'd been feeling real pressure today as well, because so much attention on him. He'd have wanted to do as much as he could to lift this Cambridge side. There's Mike Phillips is on in his place.
Balls out, play on. Now release and move.
Even the Oxford scrum looked a bit better there as well. Gillis sounds like he was tipped in flight there. It certainly sounded like it. One of the decision is from the touch judge. The throw will go to Oxford.
Farmer doing well there, picking up on a retreating scrum, never easy.
Lads, here you go. On the lads, just lads.
Oxford did have their problems in the first half in the line-out.
It's okay, stand in the middle.
Always a little discussion between Lewis Anderson, the prop, and the hooker, Richie Halpin. Shorten line-out. And again, Cambridge do so well there.
That was okay, thanks.
Referee call. There might be a hint of interference at the line-out, but it's fine. And Don Stevens sends the kick long, and there's Stileman again. And he's played well on the wing. Gives it back to Geiger.
Stand still, lads.
And Geiger's kick pretty well directed and just creeping back into the Cambridge half.
Well, that was an underthrow, but to be fair, as a hooker, when you're stood there, if there's that much movement in the line-out, it is difficult to time things, and overcomplication often leads to failure. And straight up and down. The really good second rows. Victor Matfield being the absolute
Cambridge at the front, please.
Prime example of this. Simple up and down, quick on the feet. Don't need to do that. Don't need to have players walking around confusing things.
Well, Cambridge line out a bit better through their hooker Max Montgomery, and Gillis now just pokes it forward off the outside of his right boot, and Geiger again.
Play on.
Takes it down well. Had the attentions of Andy Rees. Janney, an elusive runner. He plays sevens rugby for Georgia.
No, knock on.
And there is Lewis Anderson. So remarkably playing in his 6th varsity match.
No, knock on. It's off. Yeah, it's off Cambridge.
Anderson again. A little poke forward from Cullen. Saw a bit of space there, hoping for Janney to run onto it. Finds the referee, taken down by the scrum half Henry DeBarker. And there is Henry Hughes. Yeah, not a huge winger at all, but he's deceptively strong. And Janney now, Janney almost through on his own to the edges of the 22 in Oxford. Laying assault to this 22 again. Richie Halpin gives it on to Taylor, and wide it goes. There's good continuity about the Oxford play now.
Good tackle.
Rolling on is Ian
Ball's there,
Williams.
not on the side.
And strength again. Carries them forward, but stripped fine by James Kilroe. But no advantage.
Move away, Cambridge!
Advantage to Oxford.
Knock-on advantage only.
Just a knock-on advantage, not a penalty. And Hughes, well, you saw that one being lined up there as the ball hung in the air. They'll come back for the scrum advantage, though, so Oxford will have the put-in.
Just a knock-on.
Well, it was an important intervention there. Sold himself, but made sure he got the player. You've already seen more variety in the way that Oxford have approached this half in terms of short kicks, longer kicks, box kicks, drives around the corner and so on, than all the first half. Because you have to say, actually, for an egregiously intelligent bunch of blokes, a lot of the play in the first half was a bit dull, actually.
There's intelligence and there's rugby intelligence. Gianni, another one who's been very, very impressive.
But what those two, short chip kicks have done is made sure that the Cambridge back three cannot take set positions. In the first half, all they had to deal with was ball move through the hands. They could shadow, they could drift. Now they're being pulled forwards and backwards and sideways. That will create more space when plays are played through the middle, because they will not be able to just take up standard positions.
The changes that Cambridge have made there, you saw Mike Phillips and George Williams on for Jamie Roberts and for Ilya Cherezov.
Big job here for Ian Williams at tight head. He can get the right-hand side of the Oxford scrum up a bit.
Crouch.
Swing the Cambridge back row away from the their left-hand side. Give front foot advantage.
It's a good scrum by Cambridge though at the moment. Goes sideways a little bit in his house and it's picked up, and away goes Kilroe, and Kilroe finds support, and Gillis, quick hands, and so nearly slipped out by Clough as well, but still with Cambridge and Gillis. If I go forward a little drop and a grubber and kicked away by Kilroe, so Cullen and Oxford have it again, and Geiger now. And Geiger just hoping for the bounce of the ball to carry that one out, but George Williams doesn't find touch. Cullen is waiting, and Williams tries to take Cullen down. And Oxford once more, and a bit of space here for Fraser Heathcote, quickly closed down. And Cullen gives it deeper to Stallman, good pass out to the first half replacement, Ed David. Still Oxford launching runners from all parts of the pitch, and the Barker, the scrum half, trying to
release someone,
sneak his way through in his own. Pick up by the tight head Ian Williams. And Cambridge really are being stretched and tested here in defence. You can see in the hunched bodies and their hard breathing how difficult it is. Well, a foot came through there, but Fine and De Barker has to come from a bit deeper. They're offloading very well in the tackle now, Oxford, and it's held there for a moment by Ed David. Still comes back for the Dark Blues. It is Cullen.
Onside.
And De Barker gives it on to Gianni. And Gianni is the captain on the field now for Oxford. Run by Will Wilson.
One, come out of the way, please. Thank you.
And then Fraser Heathcote almost through the middle. Waiting for the moment to move it with a bit of width now. Cullen, out it goes, and Gianni is there. He's got Geiger outside him, and Gianni hangs on, taken down by Daniel Das. And Cambridge competing well on the ground and taking it, and Don Stevens. Andy Rees with the chop up into the air. And Will Wilson again. And it was just a temporary stay for the Cambridge defence. Have to work hard again as Oxford come once more on the wave. Geiger scoops it up. Gives it on to Fergus Taylor. This has been largely 10 minutes of relentless work for the Cambridge defence, but it's a loss there and finds its way to Will Briggs. A rare touch of the ball for the loose head prop for Cambridge.
Just a knock-on advantage.
So deep it goes.
Kicked away.
And George Williams. Well, it's a mistake. We got kicked away. You heard the referee say they had the little knock-on advantage. They would have had the scrum, but you kick away that advantage and you send it out in the full. But well, he said kicked away, and he's still. Yeah, he did say kicked away.
I thought
but he's changed his mind.
Being subbed.
Although Oxford haven't recorded any points, the thing that they'll be most pleased about is the fact that in the first half, all the collisions they lost. Cambridge stopped them either on the gain line or the other side of the gain line. This half they are getting over the gain line, and they're doing it regularly. If they can just find a little bit more poise, a little tighter running angles when the ball goes wide, then they will be in business, because the amount of tackling Cambridge have had to do must be taking its toll physically.
We saw Will Thomas coming on for Andrew Grant in the second row. Will Thomas, a former Wales under-16 player, a few moons ago. So still 3 points apiece, but it really has been all Oxford in the second half. 10 minutes gone after the break. No Jamie Roberts, a reminder if you're just tuning in or just veered off to walk the dog. Jamie Roberts dead leg and sitting on the bench. So Don Stevens, the South African number 9 for Cambridge again. That's good work by Cambridge at the scrum penalty, you'd think, coming there, and it arrives. A huge fillip to Cambridge, because for all the work they've done the last, they're all running in from all angles to offer their support and congratulations, and Jamie Roberts cuts a rather sadder figure on the bench.
Yeah, and that was an important marker for the Cambridge 8, because they have been under pressure.
So Gillis with the clearing kick.
If they can secure this ball from the line out, then I would advocate they take it and drive it, make another physical statement.
Find our groove, find our flow. How many?
Well, in every other aspect of play at the moment, Cambridge seem to be struggling, but in the scrum, they're still bossing things. And again, I stress what a turnaround that is from last year, where they were rumbled off the pitch in that record defeat, record victory for Oxford. Oxford going for 6 in a row today, which would be a record for any side in this varsity match. So now trying the maul again, which they did have some success with in the first half. Held at the back there by Sam Farmer. He who spent time with Northampton, came through the academy there. And look at the ground they're making here, Cambridge.
Use it!
Eventually have to use it as the second surge came on from Oxford, but wide it goes from Gillis now out to George Williams, and Williams finds support from his winger Andy Rees, and Rees into the Oxford 22. Better now from the light blues. Stevens gives it to Ian Nagel, another hard-bitten professional, and Stevens burrowing his way on. Has that ball been stripped by the dark blues? It has indeed. Taken well by Will Wilson, the open side flanker. And Cullen, under pressure though, doesn't have too much to play with, so Cambridge will have the line out, and not too far from the 22.
I would imagine they'll look to do the same sort of thing, but this time round, for variety, they may need to know when to release the ball, when they're going forward, as opposed to last time when they were stopped. That allows
Give yourself room, please, lads.
the opposition defence just to set itself for that important moment before the defensive line, before their defensive speed comes into play. They can get them on the back foot, release the ball while they're going forward.
And their line-out is certainly functioning better than Oxford's Cambridge. Well taken at the back. Got a glimpse of Ilya Cherezov on the bench. He's damaged a shoulder, we are told. Managing to keep just about warm in his light blue blazer. So still there, rather untidily for Cambridge, but that's the 22, and Daniel Das gives it on to Sam Farmer.
Don't play the 9 now.
Here's Will Briggs. And Nagel trying to clear out. Wide it goes from Gillis.
Play on, Pete.
Finds its way to the fullback, and Simon Davis just taken into touch by Tom Stileman.
Left him too much to do. Too little room to work in.
Here's your mark. That's all mark. Yeah, that's your mark. Okay, so
Trying to step his way around Stileman, but
manage your play.
the winger up to the challenge.
What? That's okay, just...
So a bit of pressure here on Halpin's throw for Oxford. Now 15 minutes gone in the second half, still no scoring. And once again, that Oxford line-out does not work, so Cambridge with a real opportunity here. Taken in by Sam Farmer, rolling his way towards the line. Quicker ball to play with for the Light Blues, and Gillis is there, looking out wide, delays his pass, given on now to George Williams, and the ball goes loose and cleared by Stileman again, just hurried into touch. Again, they'll just be on the fringes of the 22, but what chances here for Cambridge?
Well, run the right line, kept everyone on his dead straight, couldn't use his hands.
Just fell into very, very grateful dark blue hands. So this fixture, which goes back to 1872, that we might have a sort of 1872 scoreline, 3-all at the end. That was the year of the first football international, 1872, a year after the first rugby international between Scotland and England. So it has a long, long history. And here in the 2015 edition, 3 points apiece, 55 minutes gone. Oxford with a good defensive shove there. Das holding it at the back there. And being steadily disrobed. A penalty though to Cambridge. Well, the second half started. The penalty there. Richie Halpin is being penalised. Not Ian Williams, but the hooker Richie Halpin. But the second half started. Oxford looked so dominant, and you thought the second half might just disappear away from Cambridge, but they've worked their way back into it very well.
And you highlighted the point, that particular scrum has given them, you know, an enormous advantage, given them approximately 10 minutes of play down in the Oxford half, putting pressure on an Oxford defence, which is, to be fair to them, is coping well, scrambling well. But both teams have had problems recording points when they've been on top.
So it'll be the captain, Don Stevens.
I think I was all right with them, the timing.
The chance to put Cambridge in front for the first time in this match. Damien Hopley was talking about it at half-time that he had a bit of a cursed time in his last two matches. He lasted 30 minutes in 2013, dislocated a shoulder, and just over 40 minutes last year, ruptured knee ligaments. But here, leading his side forward and perhaps into the lead. Sweetly struck by Don Stevens, and Cambridge are in front as they try and halt this run of Oxford victory, stretching back to 2010. 57 minutes gone here at Twickenham, and Cambridge leads 6-3.
Well, he's got a big part to play in managing the game well for Cambridge. Always halfbacks are influential, dictating that, but he especially so in a close game, which may well come down to one error or one good piece of judgment.
Sam Farmer so often the carrier, the number 8 for Cambridge.
Use it!
And Don Stevens summons his troops a little bit closer, but then sends up the box kick himself.
Play on.
Play on, says the referee. Well, it's carried on now by Lewis Anderson. Works well for Oxford, that. And the carry there by Will Thomas on in the second row. Ball went loose though. Coming back on the Cambridge side now. Gillis. You could hear the touch in flight there. Doesn't matter as it finds its way to Geiger. He gives it to Stileman. Stileman is a powerful figure in the wing. We've got a few sort of slighter figures around him in the Oxford back line, but he's a hefty fellow. And Fergus Taylor. Penalty now to Oxford, a chance to immediately hit back.
Okay, number 13, he's tripped the ball. Got to roll away.
As Oliver Clough, who is penalised.
It's on the 10-metre line.
And Oxford, when they're carrying the ball in the second half, they've changed their pattern in doing this, because in the first half it was a direct assault with players trying to clear. What they're trying to do is take a man in, draw the tackler, and then get rid of the ball. Not necessarily an offload going through, but just slightly before even sometimes, to try and make it a less one-on-one power battle, which they lost in the first half.
Well, that kick was just beyond the range, perhaps, of George Cullen, so it was a kick for touch. A change for Cambridge, and the man coming on is Seb Tully at scrum half for that man, Don Stevens, the captain. So 20 minutes to go, and a big change at number 9, or number 21, as it is now. Oxford's line-out works this time, and in this position, held at the back there by Fraser Heathcote, the number 8. And this time Oxford make a bit of ground with this ball. De Barker wants it, but the forwards want to hang on. Why not? Look where they're going now. Up to within 5 metres of the line. Cambridge scrabbling their way back. Oxford have the advantage. Penalty is there. Cambridge bringing that one down. A few in the crowd think that should be a yellow card as well to come, but 20 minutes to go. Oxford looking for the first try in this fixture. De Barker to the forwards again, and a mini pack of them edge their way closer. De Barker again,
use it!
Moving his players around. This time the drive from Fergus Taylor, not quite there. Wide it goes, Cullen gives it on, and it's the winger Stileman. Still short. Cambridge rally their defence.
Still advantage.
Still playing advantage to Oxford. Still they have that penalty to come, and still they attack. Fergus Taylor once more. Wide it goes, and Cullen finds Henry Hughes. Hughes, quick hands, and it's Johnny. And Johnny White to Geiger! Can't quite get it! The spell from Geiger! Well, he's injured himself in the process. It might just be a bit of cramp there, being stretched off, which it is, but clutching, grasping at nothing but air.
Might just be huge embarrassment. That was a lovely pick-up off the toes. Oh! It seemed all right there. Oh no.
Can I speak first and then you can speak? So it's a penalty for lifting legs in the maul, which is exactly the same as happened down there. And then this one there, I judged it was a tackle because they broke off. That's fine. That's fine.
Now where is the referee going? Because he's talking to the Cambridge team about this. He's coming back for a penalty, I don't know.
He was saying about a penalty for lifting legs in the maul. They were playing advantage for
all that
long while.
It's a knock-on.
But
like the TMO thinks it's
earlier on I thought there was a case for a definite penalty for taking the maul down. When Oxford were advancing fairly rapidly actually. It was right in the red zone. Far be it from me to accuse guardians of Corinthian spirit of being cynical, but it was.
Time off.
So it's a penalty. Everyone calm down, says Greg Garner. Sam Farmer, the Cambridge number 8 coming forward, was just making clear that he's the captain on the pitch now because Don Stevens has gone off, so he's allowed to talk to the referee. But what a passage of play. Geiger, he's been so good. He's been so good in this game. He was counting his chickens. He's a Geiger counter.
I knew that would come at some point.
I tried to avoid it. It was such a good passage of play for Oxford, and they eventually went wide. They've been doing all the hard work through the forwards. He may well get another chance, but still without a try in this match. But a much better second half than the first half in terms of some of the skills we've seen on display, apart from that final one there. But
and part of that is because players are tired as well. They are not right on the metal in terms of the line speed, in terms of the physical nature of the challenges which were in the first half huge. Now they're having to work, they're having to dig deep, and gaps will inevitably come if one side or the other can put together a cogent passage of play.
See Daniel Das using the inhaler, and Oxford are going to kick to the corner here. About 25,000 expected in here today, and a bit of noise from the Oxford half of things. So that was a welcome breather for some of the Cambridge players there, and they haven't yet conceded a try, but Oxford now with full wind in their sails, and it's Halpin again in discussion with Lewis Anderson.
Well,
Head of this line out.
Call all important. Ideally, you would want the ball beyond the middle. Give you the options.
And keep it short and safe. It's the easier one to defend by Cambridge, and they buy themselves a good few yards there. Held at the back now for Oxford. Fraser Heathcote is there, the number 8. Again, this little breakaway faction makes a bit of ground and then goes to ground, and then Cambridge now have the scrum, and they have all the applause again.
And that is a problem. They've had problems on the long throw. There are a number of overthrows, underthrows. When they went for the safer option, as you rightly said, much easier to defend.
Well, a big passenger play in the context of the match. Cambridge still lead. Oxford with all that pressure there, but again, one thing that Cambridge really have had is a robust scrum in this match, and they have the ball now. And you see the big slaps from Ian Nagel, second row. I think he's made a big difference, as well as Dave Spellman. The players in the second row and a tight head.
Bind. Set.
That's me, sorry, that's me.
It's okay. It's all right, we'll just reset it.
Everything you've got, come on.
Let's go.
20 minutes to go, boys. That's where we love it, come on.
Technically, 16 and a half minutes to go.
Pepsi. Second.
Okay, crouch. Bind.
So these aren't massive moments for these players.
Set.
This is what they've trained for. It's a December night at Twickenham again. Well, it's a slipping on the ground there, Cambridge, but making good work of it. Sam Farmer, number 8.
Stay outside, lads.
Seb Tully, the replacement scrum half, under a bit of pressure there. This time gets his kick away. And they have they've got out of trouble well there, Cambridge. And Jamie Roberts leads the applause.
Well, they all look to Farmer there. That's twice he's done that now. Cleared ball that might not have been promising from the back of the scrum and made it much easier for them to exit the 22.
So again, Anderson and Halpin. What is the option here? Richie Halpin. Hope his exam went well this morning. Law and finance. Space into which Oxford can run now, and Jani gives it out to Hughes, and Hughes, good hands again, and taken on by Ed David. David looks for Jani once more, and Jani slips it back, and Fergus Taylor, so much hard carrying the second row has done.
One off.
There's Cullen, lofts it over the prop and gives it to Stileman. Cullen again, options appearing all over the place for him, and Nick Roberts-Huntley runs onto this. Little loop around by Cullen. 15 minutes to go in the 134th varsity match, and Cambridge lead by that single penalty in this second half. Carried in by Will Wilson again. Trying to hold him up. Nagel is doing his bit there, and Will Wilson eventually gets it to ground. And Oxford have the penalty, and this one very kickable. And it's Nagel who's being penalised.
Tackle.
And referee Garner did shout.
Okay.
Not listened to.
All right, time off.
This is the time when you look for players to work extra hard.
I shouted tackle.
And by that,
I don't think I could have said it any louder. Okay.
Well, you can't tell from that replay because you can't hear the audio. But when I'm talking about hard work, it isn't just the forwards who you see slogging around the field, hitting rucks and mauls. The backs as well have to work extremely hard to get back into position, because on 2 occasions there on the Cambridge right, there would have been a mismatch with, on one occasion, a prop and a second row, on the other occasion, 2 second rows, whereby had the Oxford backs worked harder to get a mismatch for a winger or a centre to get back into position and be able to run at an opposite number was not as quick, then they would have made much of it. This is when the backs have to do their part as well.
Long treatments for a few players out there, and Lewis Anderson has been down for some time. Again, it might well just be a bit of stretching off, a bit of cramp. All on the ball. Players working very hard. The Oxford bench warms up.
Okay, time on.
So it will be a proper goal for George Cullen.
Well, they know if they hold it to 6-all, no extra time, the side holding the trophy keeps it, so that's effectively enough for them.
Yes, there have been 14 draws in the history of the fixture, and this for Cullen to draw Oxford level. Six points apiece, 14 minutes to go here at Twickenham.
Just had a massive time off for them.
There is one of the former Cambridge men in the crowd watching on, Rob Andrew.
The sides that he played in, Chris Ottey, Frank Clough, Mark Bailey, Hugh Davis, people like that.
And that's Lewis Anderson going off, so a change in the front row for Oxford as the game restarts. It's taken its toll on both sides this game. From the very start, when Oxford lost their captain Henry Lamont. And there's the replacement scrum half for Cambridge. Seb Tully getting his line going again, and Mike Phillips. And Spellman. And there is Ian Nagel, penalised just a short while ago. 13 minutes to go. Anybody's game. In more contrast to last year, and that record win for Oxford, 43 points to 6.
Use it. No.
On him.
Will Briggs takes it in for Cambridge. And Tully just delayed for a moment before feeding it on to Sam Farmer. And Tully to Gillis and out to George Williams. Williams stands strong to give it to Simon Davis.
13!
There is Sam Farmer again. Very impressive, number 8. Gillis. Good work by Oliver Clough. Gillis again pops it back into Max Montgomery, the hooker. And the ball seemed to spill out forwards, and Oxford have turned it over. Cambridge, when they've had the ball, just haven't attacked with quite such sharpness as Oxford. And Will Thomas carries it in for Oxford. Just under 12 minutes to go. Sort of nervous hush around Twickenham at the moment. Good take by George Williams, and a sort of risky offload. Tried to get it away, but it didn't quite work out.
Well, you're talking about the fact that Cambridge don't seem to have quite the cutting edge that Oxford have had, and that's because they've been very narrow.
Okay, number 4 been replaced. Yeah, that's you. It's your choice.
I don't know whether it's without Roberts, they feel they can't move the ball, but this half they've been very narrow in terms of where they've sought to bring the ball and take it over the gain line. Makes defence a lot easier provided you make the first up tackles.
Before you're being subbed.
That's a Lola Eric Bogbo coming on in the second row for Rob Hall. Eric Bogbo has a twin brother who has played for Cambridge as well this season. He plays in the centre, but Lola plays in the pack.
Cambridge,
in the heart of things now.
Give it back.
Cambridge.
Give, right here. Happy?
No, not really.
Cons, give that. Cons, give.
Thank you.
Yes, me.
So once more to the Oxford line out. And to Halpin. And once more it goes the way of Cambridge. Good steal. And carried in by Max Montgomery.
Use it!
He has been a rich source of Cambridge ball, the Oxford line out. There's Ed David. Gives it into Geiger. And to Stileman. And Stileman's through on his own. And Stileman looks inside and he has support. He has support from Cullen. Cullen finds support inside from Hughes. Now Hughes goes to ground at Oxford. 50 metres up the field.
Now need to go right.
Hands away!
Just slows down.
Well, referee got a penalty.
Ian Williams now looking for, wonderful hands, but then the spill, they'll come back for the penalty. Again, just a sign that Oxford, when they get it going, can be pretty devastating in attack. It doesn't end in a try this time, but it will surely end in a penalty and another 3 points as we enter the final 10 minutes. And so many players in the Oxford back line
Can't play it on the floor and then put it back.
have been very impressive, and Stileman here with the initial break.
No chasing game to speak of at all, no pressure on the ball. And here,
yeah, you played it on, you're on the floor.
That's where I'm talking about mismatches.
Then you put it back, you can't.
Spots one there, knows he has the pace to do that. And although it's not going to result in a try, this is eminently kickable.
Well, Tom Stileman, he's a 19-year-old making his debut today in the Varsity Match. And his father, with split loyalties. I'm sure an Oxford fan today, but he's played for both Oxford and Cambridge. Stileman senior, and now George Cullen. His father played for Cambridge to give the Dark Blues the lead. He has it, and Oxford have that 3-point advantage. And a big final 8 minutes of this game coming up. Watches being checked, and Cambridge have to respond.
Well, Geiger was the standout back in the first half, but Stileman wasn't far behind, and it was recognised where the profitable area to attack was. Second restart that they haven't gathered in a row, though, puts Cambridge immediately back on to the front foot.
So opportunities. Tully gives it out to Clough. And Clough again uses a bit of power without Jamie Roberts alongside him now, and I thought Eric Bogbo was running an interfering line there, but Sam Farmer carries it forward. And there is Andy Rees on the left wing.
I've released that Oxford!
Once again, it's Farmer. There's so much work. Tully complains, the replacement scrum half. There's Das. They would gratefully receive a penalty here, but they need more than the draw to get the trophy. Oxford are the holders. Good play out to Williams now, and wide it goes to the fullback, Simon Davis. Davis cuts in field, hits 3 blue shirts. Eric Bogbo. So Cambridge still without a try in this match, either side. And Cambridge threatening the line again. Here they come through, Tully, wide it goes, lining up outside. It's all rather crowded there, and down they go. Taken in by Mike Phillips. Eric Bogbo again. And Tully
Lads,
to
get
his
your
hooker,
hands off
Max
the ground,
Montgomery,
okay, guard.
going through the phases. They need that final move. Down goes Kilroe, and Oxford have it. And they come away now, and there might be space and a chance. Charging, rampaging clear is Will Thomas. Loose it goes, and Henry Hughes has it. Did it go forward? No. Out it goes to David, and Oxford racing through again. And it's David, what pace he has. Down goes Das, can't quite get it. Cambridge all the way back now, inside their own 22. And Clough is out, the ball's still in play. Still there, Spellman keeps it alive for Cambridge. 6 minutes to go. 3 points in it. But Cambridge, from threatening a try, are deep inside their own territory again. Tully goes as far as Ed David. And Geiger. Oh, a misguided kick. Simon Davis, the full-back, beyond Geiger, and his opposite number takes it well. How close he was to a try earlier in this second half. And the full-back's playing tennis at the moment. Davis again. This time the man going up, and that might be real trouble now for Davis. It will certainly be a yellow. Could even be more, and he knows what he's done. He knows it. Straight off he goes. There's Henry De Barker, the scrum half, going up, and Simon Davis, excitement and enthusiasm. Getting the better of De Barker's fine.
Well, it may well put paid to Cambridge's chances in this. The man down. Oxford only need now play safe, keep the ball tight. Well, well, what else can you say than utterly stupid? I mean, just stupid.
I was watching the ball until the last moment, but then he decided to have a look at the player, and he knew as he was doing it. And he sees himself on the big screen, which doesn't help his humour, but his side are really up against it now. Still just 3 points in it. But to retain the trophy, again, stress that Oxford would simply need a draw. They want more than that, of course. They want 6 wins in a row, which would be a record, and they are firmly in the driving seat now.
Well, they have had the problems in the line-out. From their point of view, a nice, relatively solid throw. It's easy throw. Don't move around the line-out. Make it simple. Take the ball in, drive it, go around the corner, wind the clock down.
So Oxford's line-out, which has not gone well in this match. This time it's absolutely fine.
No.
Taken down by Nick Roberts-Huntley.
Your side then, Pete.
And again, as Brian was saying, now the clock is Oxford's friend.
Legal.
So Cambridge, a man down, 3 points down, 3.5 minutes to go. And Oxford in a very comfortable position now. And they would love to seal victory with a try. Cullen tries to get it wide, but then holds on to it well, just as Stallman was coming round outside of him. And Oxford have the penalty and a chance to hammer a nail into the Cambridge coffin.
5, never onside. 5, never onside. He's retiring, didn't get that to the back foot. Yeah,
so it will be a pop-it goal for Oxford.
Well, they will need a try if this goes over in a very limited amount of time, and bearing in mind, haven't seriously threatened to get one hitherto. You would say if this goes over that should be the end of the game.
Well, it's been a match of penalties. There's 2 for Cambridge from Don Stevens, no longer on the field, and 3 so far from this man, George Cullen, for Oxford. And this to just about seal things for Oxford. Still a little bit of time for Cambridge, but Cullen I expect taking his allotted time. Coming round well for Oxford, and Cullen gives Oxford a 12-6 lead, under 2 minutes remaining for Cambridge. Man of the match in this match, I think chosen by our former colleague and former Cambridge Blue, Alistair Hignell. And that's him, Tom Stileman, on the wing for Oxford today.
A debutant as well, remarkable debut.
So it'll be hard for Higgy to choose an Oxford man, but thoroughly deserved by Tom Stileman today. And you see the clock ticking away, the hopes slipping away for Cambridge, but converted try would do it. They have been close a couple of times, but they're going to have to do it now with 14 men. Still got a full complement though in the scrum, where they have had the upper hand.
Problem is for them, the kick will not be enough. They'd have to put it into the corner. Would they have time? Maybe, maybe not, but it's probably their only option, I think, to try and force a penalty, get it in the corner. If they can get there quick enough, catch and drive over the line. We're going to have to get on with it.
Last chance for Cambridge. Tully feeds, and Cambridge scrum beginning to buckle as well now. Wheels around.
They've just walked round Oxford there. That's so blatant.
Well, away they come now. Oliver Clough, centre, has it. Rather on his own now, slapping a couple of men aside. Good work by the centre. Still going. King of the handoffs, Oliver Clough coming forward. And Cambridge, do they still have a chance? Kilroe up into the 22. Converted try to win this game. Over poor Oxford though, and they have that ball now. Janney gets his hands on it, and the clock ticks towards 80 minutes. Out it goes. They cheer and celebrate already. The referee says,
wait a minute.
So it's gone out, so time's dead. Yeah.
No, it says it's over. The clock, it was ticking down as he chatted away, the referee, but it is Oxford who win. They win for a 6th time, half a dozen victories. The first time it has been done by either side in the long, long history of the varsity match. Oxford, the Dark Blues, are champions at Twickenham again.
Well, Cambridge couldn't make the most of a first 25 minutes in which they were quite dominant, physically dominant, made a lot of line breaks, made a lot of ground, but could not find the fluency, could not find the right options to record points. Therefore, Oxford stayed in the game. As the game progressed, they looked the more creative, they looked more likely to score a try. Should have scored one, dropped one over the line. But at the end of the day, I think they just had a bit more nous.
Well, there weren't tries in it. I mean, both sides came close, and it was a match of no little thrill, especially in the second half. There was some very good rugby played in the second half, but it was just those penalties. 3 points apiece at half-time, with a penalty from Cullen and from Don Stevens, and then those two were the point scorers in the second half as well. But 4 penalties in total from George Cullen, 2 from Cambridge from Don Stevens. Oxford are winners of the varsity match again, 12 points to 6.
So a record-breaking day for the Dark Blues, 6 victories in succession, and also for the record books. Only the first time in 14 years there hasn't been a single try in the match. There was a period where we thought we were heading for another draw, but it wasn't to be from a Cambridge perspective, and you can see what it means to both sets of players, and I think we can now hear from the man of the match.
Yes, thank you. I'm here with Tom Stileman. Massive congratulations to you. It's not often as a winger that you get man of the match when there have been no tries scored, but do tell me, what was it like out there?
I mean, incredible. Absolutely incredible. The guys have put so much into this over the last 3 months. It was tough. I mean, full credit to Cambridge as well. They made it really, really hard. But it's just, yeah, unbelievable result. Lots of hard work gone into it, and very, very pleased.
6 out of 6 now. What will the celebrations be like this evening?
They'll be, yeah, I imagine pretty emphatic. Yeah, guys have deserved it massively, and thanks to everyone who's come down, who's put the work in for us to get here and play, and everyone who's come down to support. And means masses.
Well, I'm now going to hand over to Alistair Hignell, who will be giving you the Man of the Match award, his very own medal. Over to you, Alistair. Congratulations, Alistair, Man of the Match.
Well, I think it's probably fair to say that Oxford, if you were an impartial observer, deserved it because they did show more enterprise behind the scrum, and they did have most try-scoring opportunities, which I'm sure two at least of the three people who are alongside me here would agree with. Damien Hockley's here in the light blue corner, and in the dark blue corner we have Simon Halliday, who's been with us throughout the match, and Ian Ritchie, the boss of the rugby union, a man of Oxford himself. And how would you, were you impartial today because of your role, or were you able today to get off the fence?
Absolutely not. I'm very entitled to be very partial, so I'm delighted. A very competitive and a very close game, which I think is good for the varsity match, but delighted that Oxford have won, and very chuffed.
And the right result?
I think the right result. I think Oxford came on well, and had chances with tries as well. So I think the right team won, but it was very close, very competitive, and a good game.
Simon, you must have enjoyed some of the back play from the Oxford side, and a golden opportunity spurned in the corner, literally 5 yards away from us.
Yes, a little bit of white line fever, wasn't it? There's so much good approach play from the Oxford team, and it seemed more difficult not to score, frankly, when it all came out. And you could have actually argued for the centre to have kept the ball because he was almost over the line himself. So, that was obviously disappointing. I think the game wanted and needed a try. Here we can see it now. And, well, yeah. I'm sure the lads, given that Oxford won, will just give them some good-natured ribbing. But, credit to Cambridge, because when you go back to last year, well, there you are again. Damien.
A Ben Kay moment, unfortunately, for Matt Geiger.
A Ben Kay moment, yeah, exactly right. Yes.
Well, it allowed Andrew Cotter to have his Geiger counter moment. But this was effectively the match-winning moment when Stahlmann makes the break, and this led to the penalty, which really gave Oxford the ascendancy.
And Stahlmann actually, rightly, the man of the match, looked very dangerous for the ball in hand, made some excellent ground. And I just thought Oxford were far more clinical today. Cambridge probably kicked a bit too much possession away, and when they got near the Oxford line, they couldn't actually fulfil what the potential I thought they had, and unfortunately Oxford were the strong side and therefore thoroughly deserved the win.
And Jamie Roberts going off at half-time cannot have helped Cambridge's cause.
Yeah, and I think when you build so much around one player, and obviously he's a colossus in so many ways for this side, to lose him at half-time was a massive blow. But even then I thought Cambridge rallied well around it, but that was a big blow to them in terms of the on-field presence that Jamie brings.
Well, we're waiting for the presentation. There is Jamie. We're waiting for the presentation of the trophy in just a few moments' time. So while we do wait for that, Ian, it's good to have you here because there's obviously a lot to talk about from an English rugby perspective. All the questions will be forward-looking, but let me ask you one that is retrospective. On a day like today, the last time we were here for a match of any substance, it was the World Cup final, an extraordinary end to an amazing competition. When you come back here today, is there still part of you that niggles away and says that was a boat that England well and truly missed?
Oh, of course. I mean, you think on the positives. I thought the Rugby World Cup as an event, as a festival of rugby, everybody got behind it, support was amazing. And I think, therefore, yes, we all feel that there's regret, there's disappointment, and there was a situation that we lost. And we should have dealt with it, but we didn't, and that's what sport's all about. So we've got to look forward now. But I do look back on the event as a whole and thought for rugby, it was an amazing World Cup in every way. The support, the feeling, the atmosphere, the rugby itself, all of it was a huge plus. And yes, disappointed obviously that we didn't take advantage of all of that.
Disappointment for those Cambridge players, but obviously it is a day that will live long in their memories as they get their losers' trophies. Ian, I'll keep chatting to you while we wait for Oxford to go up and get their prize. Eddie Jones, obviously there's much debate about who was going to be the next man at the helm, and you've been much quoted about how you believe he is the man to take the RFU or take English rugby forward. How much autonomy will he have? Is he basically able to do whatever he wants?
You're going to appoint a coach and then you're going to support him. So, of course, he and I had several conversations beforehand about how we saw things. Could we work together? Were there principles and policies that we wanted to engage on together? And, yes, he's going to have full support. But, again, you appoint a head coach of his calibre and experience, and fundamentally you want him to get on and do it.
Well, you can see that we're half a dozen or so of the Oxford players have received their winners' medals, so the trophy presentation is only a few moments away. If you have just switched on, you missed actually a really compelling contest today. Last year's match was so one-sided. I know there were some people who feared that it might be a repetition of that. But as the Oxford players wait with their tankards to receive the trophy and the mandatory celebration that will happen very shortly, it was great to have the game that, until the last 10 minutes, really could have gone either way. And some really good kicking from both place kickers actually kept the game very tight. But I think it's fair to say, as we said, that justifiably in terms of territory, in terms of possession, and in terms of try-scoring opportunities, it was the right result that Oxford were the winners for the 6th consecutive year. And we're just waiting for the trophy to take place. It's a slight sort of hiatus for the moment. And obviously, for a lot of these guys, this is effectively the end of the rugby at Oxford, and they'll actually go back and get on with some studying after this. But anyway, here we go. The moment of truth for the men in dark blue today. 6 times in a row, and that's an all-time record in this match that goes back to 1872. So while the dark blue men celebrate, the light blues commiserate, and one in particular, I wonder what the most famous player on the field of play today will take from this afternoon. Let's go to Sarah Orchard.
Thank you, John. Yes, I'm here with Jamie Roberts, who has a heavily strapped leg. Just reassure everyone, what is it that you've done, Jamie?
It's only a dead leg. It was that first carry, I think, 12 and off with I think it was KO, but yeah, I took a nasty dead leg, so just got worse and worse the first half, so it's one of those I couldn't run after half time, so I had to come off. But look, congratulations to Oxford. It's a difficult day for us. The guys tried everything into it, and we can't ask for more from the guys, and it's rugby.
Commiserations. What was your varsity experience like, though?
Amazing. It's amazing. It's an amazing day. It's a pinnacle of, I suppose, student sport, isn't it? And for these boys, their cup final, and it just really, really gutted for the lads who couldn't get the win. Obviously, disappointed I couldn't play that second half, but just see it in the guys' eyes. A few of them are in tears and stuff, and it's very difficult. We play a whole season for this match, and unfortunately we've come on the wrong end of the score today. But congratulations to Oxford, they thoroughly deserve the win as well. So.
Do you think you'll be able to turn out a few more times for Cambridge at some point?
Oh, we'll see. I'm doing a 2 years part-time masters, so yeah. Well, it's I doubt it next year, but it's probably just a one-off for me. As disappointing, losing and stuff. So there we are. That's rugby, as I said. That's rugby. It's cup final. We weren't quite good enough today. And unfortunately, the boys are pretty gutted. So.
Now, you said there that it's just a dead leg. Of course, you've signed a professional contract now with Harlequins. How long do you think it'll be till you get back with them?
Yeah, I'll back in with them Monday. I'm sure I'll probably have treatments over the weekend, look after this, and start back with them on Monday morning training. So, looking forward to that. A good few months up in Cambridge. Enjoyed my time there. It's been a wonderful experience. It's been a fantastic place, a fantastic university, and I thoroughly enjoyed today.
Jamie, thank you for your time. Back to you, John. Thank you.
Former England internationals here alongside us, Damien and Simon. Quick thoughts, Simon, on Eddie Jones as the man to take England forward?
Eddie's got huge amounts of experience. He's very motivated, as you can tell, and he's got real dynamism around everything he's saying, and you can already hear it and feel it in the way England players have responded almost to the week. They all played out of their skins in the European weekend. There are some fantastic rugby players in this country, and I'm very, very optimistic.
Damien?
Yeah, I think Eddie brings with him this fantastic work ethic that everyone talks about, and even to see the impact he's made in a short space of time. But also, I think there's a lot of doom and gloom about the state of English rugby, which personally I don't believe is true. I think we have quality talent here, and I think it's about looking forward and the players going out and performing in the Six Nations.
And talking about looking forward, and very much going forward, one announcement that you made in the last few days. I know there are some people within the game who think, what? Why do you need to do that? Because this is such a magnificent stadium. But you're going to spend £55 million on that stand over there. What's wrong with it?
No, it's about adding facilities around the back of it, and like any stadium and any sporting event, you have to keep on investing. So we're looking at something that will be finished by 2018. It'll improve the facilities in the stand, and you've got to make it a great day out. We all recognise that during the World Cup, so it's a matter of constant investment, and as you know, we balance that by investment in community artificial pitches around the country, which I think is another great thing to go on as well. So judicious investment of funds, what we're is an investment vehicle at the RFU, and that's what we need to do, and they're two very good examples.
Ian, thanks for your time this afternoon. And to Simon in the dark blue corner and Damien in the light blue, thanks very much indeed. Good to see you.
I'll just say one thing.
Yeah,
Jamie Roberts obviously found the Varsity Match quite a tough experience.
All right. He finished on the losing side though, and when of course he was on the winning side here against England a few weeks before that. It was all black here 6 weeks ago. Today it was all blue, but predominantly dark blue. Bye-bye.